Hello and welcome to day 3 of our Insights from Autodesk University and Beyond conference. If you've been here for all 3 days, I truly salute you. That's a fantastic effort. And if you've just come for today, then you've come for the best day. So you're in for a great time. Just wanted to look quickly at some of the speakers we've got on today. We've got a range of people talking from Symmetry. We've got a couple of customers on, and we've got partners on as well. So a full range of speakers. So we're going to dive right into the start of this presentation. I'm going to pass across to an interview that I conducted with Steve Rudge and look at some of the key takeaways from Autodesk University this year.
Hi Steve, it's great to have you back from AU. First of all, how was the event, following on from some of the challenges in New Orleans last year?
No, I mean, Vegas as a venue, it's always worked. I think, I've been there 5 or 6 times before in that same hotel. It works as a venue. It works for the classes, the breakout areas. But yeah, it really works. I think the vibe off ourselves and the clients was great. Being able to network was better because we were all in one area. We weren't getting taxis and buses everywhere. I think the expo centre was great. Really connected clients and partners together with the Autodesk channel. And it was just really good to see a positive outcome when the event had finished with lots of information coming out of it. It's a really great event for building your knowledge up for the next 12 months and seeing where everything's going.
And in terms of the information at the event, I think the hottest of hot topics, I think we'll probably touch on all the Autodesk buzzwords through this interview, but the hottest of hot topics was Autodesk AI. I think if Andrew Anagnost had said it one more time, he may have exploded on main stage. So in terms of Autodesk AI, what does that mean in real terms for construction?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Obviously they introduced the brand Autodesk AI. There's now a dedicated website focus on where AI is going to help us deliver better projects and integrate with the technology. But I think AI has been with us for 5 or 10 years within especially the ACC products with Construction IQ in the background of it. But I think as we start moving forward, you'll see a lot more assisted workflows happening. The likes of generative design and machine learning and cross-project reporting is going to come more and more into the day-to-day workings that we're capturing information all the time. The more information we capture, the more intelligent our platforms are going to become. And I think AI is just going to be capturing all that data we're putting, especially in the cloud, because it's there, it's available, it's a database of information. And I think that's really going to help us start looking at real-time analysis to reduce the likes of our health and safety and risks and that's coming onto our construction sites in the future to really help us all to get informed decisions, to make those decisions earlier in the process and give us lots more benefits as we build out the projects and get onto site with the digital technology that we're all becoming familiar with now in the construction industry.
Okay. And in terms of, you kind of touched on it a little bit with the cloud, in terms of managing the masses of data and beginning to inform these programs that are AI programs and beginning to learn. Nicholas Mannion said that Autodesk Docs will be at the center of everything in terms of capturing data. What's the impact on this for our clients, and what's the impact of this for Symmetry, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Even in the main keynote, I think the messaging, which has slightly changed over the last 12 months from New Orleans, was the fact that focus on your desktop tools and get the data into the cloud. And I think that's where Former and that has now changed over the last 12 months. And, I spent a lot of the time in the future sessions for ACC, and the time and the effort that's now been put into especially the document management platform has been huge. And it's really great to see how they're putting information right at the center of all our delivery, really. And it's not just information, it's how we're getting now the partners to integrate that. They keep saying, and the message out of Autodesk was, we've not got an answer to everything. That's why we built ACC on an open platform, to get the integration of partners and the technologies to be able to capture the right information at the right time from the, the right source and the right people. So you're right when when he was saying that let's put data at the focus and the central of everything. It is, the way I see Autodesk going now, that is the correct way to go. Lots of workflows, lots of processes. As we say, as we now bring AI in and all the generative design, machine learning and assisted workflows, all that good stuff is all focused on reusing information as we capture it and bring it into that central point. And we docs at the central point of that. I mean, it's great now that it's in the AEC collections because a lot of people can now start integrating it really early in a project to get the correct data and get it structured correctly. But the way that it's ACC is going now, there's lots in the future roadmaps coming up in the next few quarters, which will really enhance how docs will perform. A lot of the clients we work with have asked for many things in docs, and I can now see some of them on the horizon. Little things like customized reports, dynamic review processes that will trigger automatically when uploading files. The way that information is managed by hyperlinking information in packages in the system and things like that. They're just some of the things that's going to be coming in the next few quarters. Some are in beta, and some are just on the discovery and development side, but it really gives a focus and a vision going forward for what we can do with this data. Another thing really that was pushed on us is it's not all about information. We want to try and get this data out to the relevant people. So the mobile media platform, again, is under huge review, and there's a beta again out there which shows the models, which we know we've all been probably struggling with in the past, is going to be released on a new platform which is going to be 5 times faster, but enable us to get that data to the right people out on site and being able to section, view and comment and review all linked in one platform on a far better interface than whatever we've been used to in the past.
Okay. I'm not going to push you too much on the functionality because I know you're on a sort of pain of death NDAs and sort of dancing along.
Broke some of that, but
dancing along a bit of a tightrope. So I guess there are the kind of two things. I think the first one is we've heard from Autodesk about ACC is going to be great. We're going to develop this and we're going to develop that. I think, if we're honest about it, they have developed build significantly as they've brought the PlanGrid platform in and they've looked to compete with some of the big field management tools and win back market share in that space. And I think, Docs has been neglected. I don't think anyone can kind of hide away from that, but it does feel like there's some real momentum around developing document management, developing it as a platform that can compete with some of the other big platforms in this space. Do you think that's fair, and do you think we're going to see Docs begin to displace some of those traditional document management solutions that have been clinging on for the last year or two, now that it's got the core functionality?
Yeah, definitely. Some of the wish lists we've had off many of the main contractors we've been working with across the UK, some of them key features are now being addressed. But the main thing is it's the more of that integrated platform. So we can see now that yes, Docs will be on par with the other large vendors, but it's what else is coming to that, because we've obviously got the design collaboration in there, we've got the build functionality, we've got pre-construction, sustainability was all talked about, all being integrated into the Docs platform, reusing the data that we're uploading and using there. So I think, that ecosystem is going to really change over next year, maybe 2 years, but it's the foundation they're now getting correct, and that's what they needed to do. And I was quite happy at attending a lot of the sessions over at AU to give us that vision of where they're actually going with this now. And I don't think it's going to stop there. The vision now is to get these integrated partners and the other tools more and more embedded to bring the data. I think we saw the likes of LCA one-click being linked into Revit a bit more to get the sustainability and design, looking at EC3 linked into the more of the takeoff to be able to see really early carbon analysis and then using Autodesk Insights to see some of that data around. It's not all there, there's, obviously we've got Navigate Zero, which is a great plugin to do that early analysis. But I think we've looked at, the symmetry tools have looked at it slightly differently and really hit it earlier than where Autodesk are looking at it. So I think it's a combination of those three tools just in the sustainability area without everything else that's really coming out within the platforms as well.
Fantastic. I think tracking back to something else you said around this, the viewer and this being 5 times quicker, I guess that's not just a gimmick, is it? That it's actually needed in order to make people use the product on site. I know it's something we've heard of as an issue. There are other tools out there that are quicker, more flexible, and that's, we've lost business based on it not being quite as easy to use and quick to use on site. So do you think that's, it certainly struck me as the biggest step change. Maybe it's not that glamorous, but very
You're right. If that platform's not easy to use, you're never going to adopt it. We're talking to people here who are actually on site, PPE'd up, working with the tools as they're delivering their day-to-day job. If that's not easy to use, they'll just go back to paper, and that's not where we are. The sustainability on site is a real focus for ourselves as Symmetry and also for Autodesk. So this was a key thing that was needed in the platform to actually get people to embrace the technology and make it simple to use while we're out there, so you can actually section a model quickly. They showed us how we could literally put markups embedded into issues very easily with quite an easy user interface on a phone and a tablet. I think they've realised now that not everybody walks around with iPads and Android tablets. A lot of people just walk around with phones. So there's got to be able to be, the functionality's got to be there on a smaller version of a media device as well. But be able to embrace the drawings and the 3D models integrated into one platform, but being able to use it while we're out there as a functional, viable solution.
And on the topic of Autodesk Construction Cloud, was there any best practice you saw?
Yeah, I don't know whether you actually saw the keynote session back here on the Digital AU, but on the construction keynote, it was great to see some of the work that's been done at Dublin Airport. And it really engaged the client and the main contractor, which I thought was quite refreshing because it's normally one or the other pushing for this. But I think they worked hand in harmony where the client knew the information they needed. They wanted it stored in the construction cloud with true defined requirements, and the contractor obviously had their own agenda but embraced that, and it actually drove the contractor in the way that Dublin Airport wanted that data. And I think the relationship, you could clearly see on the stage that they've worked together, but both got good outcomes from managing the data and working in one platform to actually get a good outcome, not just for the airport, but for the contractor as well. And they embraced the whole supply chain on the journey. So it was a really nice case study to see on the stage. But yeah, it just wasn't focused on the contractor or a main operator. It was nice to see them working hand in hand. I thought that was a great takeaway from the event.
So any insights from Ryan Reynolds?
He looked at how change has happened with Wrexham and the F1 team that he now sponsors. And I think, it was just a real insightful way of ensuring people understood what had impacted business by taking things on that he wasn't really aware what he'd taken on. I was talking to some of the guys who are embedded in the design for Wrexham and the extension and refurbing of the whole stadium. And it's amazing what's, needed to try and get them through the hoops, to get the planning permission. But it's not just a football club. They've got to embrace the whole community because Wrexham's such a small town, and that they've had to approach the whole community to get approval rather than just planning off the council and things like that. So it's really interesting to hear it from main stage and from people who are actually going to deliver the design and construction on the job, and how it impacted both parties. But yeah, that was quite insightful, really.
So BSA, Building Safety Act, is a massive focus for us. We very rarely have any conversations where we don't mention BSA at some point. Did it make an appearance at Autodesk University in the US? Yeah.
It did. It was quite strange, really, because I attended a lot around information management, obviously at the heart of ACC, heart of the contractor delivery. And it was really funny how many times BSA was mentioned. And they see it, I think a lot of people, many of the sessions, I was probably the only UK candidate that was in the room, but a lot of the speakers and that were referencing BSA, on the Safety Act, integrated with ISO 19650 as the way that we should be working. It's the vision of literally this is the best way to do information management, to bring that design data to ensure we're getting as built and better data delivery as we deliver these projects through construction. So I think the UK is driving a way that we should be working, but the rest of the world's looking in at that with vision of what they should be doing just day to day on standard projects. So it's really interesting. I didn't expect anybody to even mention it, but I think a lot of people are looking upon this as, this should be business as normal, not just for high risk buildings, but for construction in general, and how we capture and reuse the data going forward.
Yeah, obviously we're big believers, so I think it's fantastic that it's kind of been, that level of detail is being adopted as something that needs to be done as a sort of standard in constructing anything. We need to have that level of detail. We need to have that level of confidence in things being built right and not have any risk.
And that's it. It was the focus of information. And I think that's what's changed from previous AUs I was at. Previous AUs was all about the models and the image and viewing the image. This time it was more the data. How do we audit the data, look at the data? How do we get engaged with it, especially on the construction site? There are sort of a lot of examples of where a digital process really enhances the traditional paper process. The usual thing where you get one trade working off an old version of a drawing, and the next trade comes in with a newer version and it doesn't work, and you end up with lots of waste, ripping out the old bits of kit on site. Lots of that going on with data, but information and capturing the evidencing. There's a lot of technology there to capture what's actually being built and proving it back in the platform. So some of the 360 captures, laser scanning and all that good stuff that was being reused on sites, but given a proper workflow, whereas before it was quite siloed in how it was, but now it's integrating that due to the open API platform that we've now got in ACC, capturing all that data and really working forward, reusing it and proving what we built is as built.
And so talking about using data, did you understand what they meant by outcome-based BIM?
Another buzzword.
There you go.
I mean, for me, Symmetry's been working in this area for years. Outcome-based BIM for me is really just capturing the right data at the right time for the right people and using it in the right place where it should be used. But it was clear out of AU really to sort of see that being refocused. And Autodesk admit they've not got the answer to everything, but they're willing to partner with the people who can provide that right data and bring it into their system. Like say, the Docs platform becomes this system to collate all that information. It becomes that single source of truth. And they've got the core products, Collaborate Pro, Takeoff and Build, all bringing that data in to hopefully feed it into Tandem. But when we start looking at that into more detail, it's all these other products that are now bringing the value into that system, and being able for us to reuse it and capture it in ways that you can't really do with ACC. But ACC can't have the answer for everything, so it's just integrating it all together. I think we can now start beginning to see the real value of the vision of the open platform.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a piece a bit later on digital twins, and for me, this is my interpretation of outcome-based BIM is just actually thinking about what you want to achieve and collecting the right data through design, construction, and into operations to actually enable you to achieve that. Don't create BIM data for the sake of creating BIM data. Create some data which has value to the operational users at the end of the process and those who are designing and constructing through the process. So yeah, the term outcome-based BIM, I just think is
It's
come up with a name for stuff.
I mean, I think that's where they see the Building Safety Act, because they're seeing actually you're collating the correct data for all your fire stopping in a managed and processed workflow. Why should that be any different to your maintenance information, not against general assets, etc.? So I think they're looking upon the UK just to really help and enhance that workflow and process for others in the future, really.
Yeah, for me, the BIM term is also probably a little bit difficult and misleading. I'm kind of moving to sort of ACO data management, where you're just managing data from start to finish. The whole building information modeling bit, I think, just adds a layer of confusion and a slightly bad brand at the moment. But if you just talk about data captured through the process to help everybody in that process, then I think there's something a little bit cleaner there. So you'll hear me keep pushing the term ACO data management for a bit. That's my my latest buzzword to try and get involved.
No, sounds good.
So you've touched on the ACC ecosystem. I first saw a diagram of ACC in the middle with about 6 products around it. Has this grown? What else is included in this? How's that kind of looking? It was also known, I think Forge was involved at some point, and Autodesk Platform Services, whatever it is now. So do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, sure. Like you say, Autodesk realised that they can't conquer the world with everything. So I think that's where we start looking at the Autodesk Platform Services to get these integrated partners in, to really start developing and enhancing their own platform. If you look at Symmetry again, obviously we've got the Nebula tools, Navigate Nebula, that'll be coming out early in 2024. And what that'll be looking at is transferring data out of the BIM 360 platform into ACC, downloading that data if we need to use it in other parts. So that just shows, one example of how they're looking at third-party technology and other partners to bring this data into the way that we need to use it. And, as things and that develop, you'll see Nebula from Symmetry as well, looking at not just downloading data, but downloading intelligent data. So sort of later in 2024, you'll see us being able to download that data, but with the correct metadata embedded as well, which will be huge. And then we can start looking at moving data from the likes of BIM 360 to ACC and things like that. And that just shows you the power of bringing partners into that platform, not just to use the data, but basically transfer data, bring data into that platform, because that's the only way that AI is going to be able to learn, is bringing the relevant data in the platform and letting, Construction IQ, which is embedded in ACC it's been in there for 5 years or so now, but that's how it's going to learn off that enriched data, not just from ACC tools, but from the partnering tools that's going to really capture it all and bring those benefits as we use this information out on site, bring our problems into the platform, highlight the problems, the risks, and the good work that we all do today. It's all a big learning process, not just for the platform and AI, but I think we'll see how we can reuse that data more and more as we go forward.
Fantastic. I think we've also got Tom presenting on Oculo a bit later on, which again is part of that ACC ecosystem, feeding data into it and taking data out of it to provide sort of informed sort of applications that are beyond just sort of data management or field management.
Yeah, and if you look at the Tom session later, that'll give you a great example of how we use the model stored in ACC, but use artificial intelligence to map that onto the 360 image captured with the Oculo camera. And that's just a fine example of how a partner integrates with the ACC technology to get a great outcome to prove as built. Never before have we had confidence to put a photo on top of a model. And it's only because artificial intelligence now is mapping the nodes of the site and the vision to bring that functionality to us. But it's not an Autodesk functionality. It's because a partner is engaging with the ACC platform and to get us where we need to get the information that we're going to use on a day-to-day basis.
Cool. I was going to ask you how Symmetry are going to be change makers, to use my final Autodesk buzzword, but I think the Navigate Nebula stuff might be the way to go. I think being able to move data, documents, metadata from BIM 360 to ACC is what quite a lot of our customers have been crying out for. So is there anything in addition to that fantastic Navigate Nebula product that'll sort of mark Symmetry out as change makers this year?
I mean, myself, I look at what we do as a service. You know, we're not here just as an Autodesk reseller, partner, trainer, or anything like that. We're embedded in a lot of projects, and many of the time we're embedded there, and our clients will come to us with a problem. And I think Symmetry is, you know, a changing company to embrace that, are looking at what we can do all the time, and we'll look out to the new technologies, new platforms, and development ourselves. You know, we've got a great team now within Symmetry that will look at developing tools to solve problems. I think that's how we can change the business and become change makers. And the fact that we're not just doing, you know, the same day in, day out, using the same technologies, just embedded with Autodesk, we're willing to look at what's needed for our clients. So the likes of Navigate Nebula, looking at Navigate Zero and things like that, proves that we're looking at what's needed out there, and we're developing the right tools to solve today's problems out in industry.
Cool. And back to AU, what would you say are the top 3 takeaways that will drive benefit for our customers, or maybe for Symmetry, but mainly for our customers?
I mean, the top 3, I think I'll put it on LinkedIn as I left the event. The top 3 for me was embrace change. You know, change is going to be huge for all of us, and we've just got to embrace it. If we don't, we'll all be left behind. You know, it's something that's going to really, you know, how we use the technology, how we deliver projects is going to be different in 2-3 years' time than we're delivering today. As AI starts developing, as we bring, you know, the generative design and machine learning all together, that is going to change what we do. Robotics, AI is going to start learning robotics. Had a live mannequin there that proved that the more it engaged with people, the more it learned. And I think that's where we're going to see one big change happening. So embrace change. Don't stand still. You'll be left behind. I think the second thing is look at information management. You know, the big picture, especially with Forma, was use Forma to start looking at collating the data, storing it in ACC, but still embrace the desktop products. The desktop products are there to stay, and it's just how we store the data in the cloud, reuse the data in the cloud, but use the right technology to solve the problems that we've got today. And then the last one is keep an eye on AI. You know, it's early days. Obviously, Autodesk released Autodesk AI at the event. We don't really know where that's going. They're saying it's been embedded in the tools and platform for 5 and 10 years. But I think now there's a focus. You know, they've set a group up to look at this and start looking at the technology itself. If you look on the website, there's many things on the website now to show where they're beginning to push AI in a lot of the tools you're using today. So I think for me, change, information management, and where AI is going. I think they're the 3 takeaways from the whole of AU this year, which has been a real great event.